voices in the blackest night, spitting tales of emerald light. Myron and Phil with the banter tight, lantern stories taking flight. Heroes clad in emerald light, cosmic battles in the dark of night. Guardians calling from the galactic height, power rings are shining bright. Tune in for the mighty lore, legends that you can't ignore. From Mogo to Sinestro's war, the podcast of Oed gives you more.
Welcome, Green Lantern fans, to a special episode of the podcast of Bova. I'm your co-host, Myron Rumsey, and I am joined by my friend on the other end, Mr. Phil Bova. Phil, I don't know about you, but World Cup fever is in my household. I don't know how it is in your land, but I had to tear myself away from the TV today.
Oh yeah, it is. It's been good stuff. It's been going really good.
It's awesome. So anyway, reason why this is a special episode.
Yeah, people are excited.
Reason why it's a special episode is that we are in GL June. And every year, for those of you that don't know, a number of us, and I want to say this has been going on for about 4 years or so. Every year, Green Lantern creators from around the internet get together and we do a tag team, and we usually discuss a Green Lantern centric event. Last year, I think it was, what one was it? Do you remember, Phil? Circle of Fire. It was Green Lantern Circle of Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good book.
It was all right. Anyway, this year we are teaming up to do a 6 episode across all the different content creators. As the episodes are based around Flash and Green Lantern, The Brave and the Bold, which is a Mark Waid miniseries that he did. You looked it up right before the show. It was 1999 it started, right?
1999 to 2000. Well, it's published date was October 99.
Gotcha.
So it's 6 issues, so it ran through March.
To give you an idea in terms of publishing history, this was during the time when both Barry and Hal were gone. Barry died famously in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Hal, following the final night. So we're in that period of time where these guys are not really on the regular occurring pages of DC Comics. And this is the second series that Mark Waid did that kind of reflects back over pre-crisis continuity. The first one being JLA Year One, where he does a retelling of the origins of the Justice League. And this one, he focuses on the relationship between Barry Allen and Hal Jordan. 6-issue miniseries. It's spread across the history of their relationship. The first time that Hal and Barry teamed up was back, now this is not Justice League books, this is just the two of them teaming up, was back in Green Lantern number 13. And so this miniseries covers the history of these two characters. So each one is kind of a snapshot of a different era of their history together. And there was an issue that took place clearly during Hard Traveling Heroes and so on. This last issue, the final issue of the series, issue 6, takes place right around 1980. So it's after, point of reference for Green Lantern fans, this story takes place sometime around, but after issue number 129. And that's where Hal took away the Star Sapphire from Star Sapphire and hid it so that Carol Ferris would not turn into Star Sapphire again. So that gives you an idea where Hal is at this juncture. And the Flash at this juncture, Barry, his wife was killed about a year or so earlier by Professor Zoom. So Barry's going through a real crisis of losing his soulmate and how to cope with it. So this issue, while there is a plot for Green Lantern and Flash, really focuses on the relationship between Hal and Barry, which I really dug. It also, of course, uses Carol Ferris and Star Sapphire because Hal still at this juncture, he and Carol have never, they've had that seesaw relationship we've talked about before. And Barry, of course, is in a position where, boy, he would give anything to have Iris West back. So with that, we pick up with not long after Iris has died, and Barry is hanging out with Hal Jordan in Coast City, and Hal is trying his best to be there for his friend, but in that awkwardness of how do you talk about it without talking about it? Because that's kind of the dynamic of the relationship. They're buddy buddy. They both they both see in each other what they kind of envy in their own lives.
Mhm.
So they don't have those heart to heart talks, but they do talk. And so they're having conversations about, Iris and kind of skirting the relationship about Iris and her loss. Carol shows up at Ferris Air. She's fully the boss of Ferris Air, and she's back in that mode of I don't date my coworkers routine, right? Um, so Hal's trying to explain the relationship, and he makes the mistake of saying he talks about Carrie Limbo, which was a character that was engaged or was heavily related in a relationship with Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner disappears, and Carrie Limbo and Hal Jordan strike up a friendship and a relationship, a romantic relationship, and Hal nearly marries her. In fact, they make it to the altar, and then it goes awry there. And he talks about almost getting married to Carrie Limbo, and then realizing I shouldn't have even said the word married because I'm bringing up bad memories for my friend here who's trying to go through these stages of grief.
And I think that's one of the cool points about this particular issue, right? I mean, you got the dynamic of Hal trying to be there for his friend, but Hal is cognizant enough to show his failings in that, right? And he doesn't know how to talk to Barry about these situations. But
Yeah.
when it comes to action and when it comes to doing something, you see Hal just he knows exactly what to do. And I think that dynamic and Hal trying to be there for his friend, he is there for his friend, but he's there for his friend in the way that he knows best.
Very well stated. It's like I said, this issue really focuses on the relationship. Obviously, it uses the superheroics as a catalyst for some of that stuff. And it's interesting if you look back over the 6 issues, it starts out with the very kitschy Silver Age team up where they're just kind of pals, and you see the relationship evolve. You see how the whole entrance of Ollie into the relationship with Hal kind of drives a wedge between the two a little bit. Then you see in one issue where Hal and Barry are relating to their JSA predecessors and how that kind of all blows apart. And throughout the whole thing, you see echoes of the friendship and you can kind of see it becoming stronger. But here, Hal really is struggling because he doesn't have a point of reference. While he loves Carol, he's never had the long-term committed full partner relationship with anyone. And so he's kind of struggling to understand how Barry feels and then making those awkward mistakes of saying the wrong thing. Um, but
Kind
then,
of makes kind of makes you miss issues like this. Like I miss
oh
the Barry
yeah,
friendship, you know.
yes, very
When's
much
the last
so.
time that's been touched upon? And when's the last time they hung out on an occasion and done stuff? You know, it's like I
Yeah,
mean,
there was a
the
team up
breaking
not too long ago with Hal and Barry in the Adams series, but it doesn't feel the same, right?
not like this. And Mark Waid nailed it with his writing in this. I mean,
Yeah,
especially with the reception that Carol has. Even the dynamic between Hal and Carol is spot on with how I mean how they've always been, right?
yeah.
It isn't much different than it is now, except that they're quote unquote married, maybe. More.
Right. And I think Mark Waid, he relishes the Silver Age stuff. He enjoyed give me a reason to go pull out my back issues and do some research, which he heavily did here to make sure that each issue fit that timeline. And Barry Kitson's artwork really echoes the different periods. Like he channels the art style in each one of those. I mean, the issue that they did that was based on Hard Traveling Heroes looks very Neil Adams-esque,
Mhm.
and this one looks very much like what you would have seen in the 80s, back when the art styles were just different. And Barry's struggling a little bit with his emotions, and you see him kind of lashing out a couple of times. Tom Kalmaku recognizes what's going on as the Star Sapphire is getting loose, and sure enough, Carol becomes the Star Sapphire again. And it's a struggle because Barry Barry in his grief goes at Carol like she's the epitome of evil, failing to realize that Carol's underneath. He kind of overshoots that whole thing. Um, it's also neat because there's a relationship between the Flash and Star Sapphire just the Golden Age version. The Golden Age version of Star Sapphire was an arch villain of Jay Garrett. So it's interesting to see that dynamic shift a little bit. But it's there's a big fight scene, and they're fighting with each other and so on, and Hal's trying to protect Carol but trying to free her, and then Barry discovers that there's a portal there that takes him to where the original Star Sapphire is. And one of the things that Mark Waid really does well here is he finds a way to connect the Golden Age Star Sapphire with the Zamorans and Carol and makes them all work together. One of the things I'm often critical of Mark Waid because of how he is outside of his writing, and I think he's past his prime in terms of writing. But in this era of writing, Mark Waid was really on point with a lot of things, and he always did creative things that didn't ignore continuity. He was like a lot of us from back in that day, continuity meant a lot.
Right.
So he was trying to find ways of making the puzzle pieces fit, which I always respected a great deal. And I thought it was neat here what he does, where he tries to connect the original Golden Age Star Sapphire to Carol Ferris's version of Star Sapphire. Because they have to be connected, right? Their outfits are almost identical.
I love the outfit in this. I like when she pops through in that scene. There's only one Star Sapphire. She looks awesome there.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, it, the story itself, in terms of what happens in the fights, it's really secondary, but it's interesting to see her wanting to have vengeance on her sisters because the Zamorans apparently locked her up, kind of thing. Um, but it's a neat fight. And there's obviously the Star Sapphire uses yellow constructs to make it hard for Hal because at this point in history, in publishing history, Green Lantern still has the weakness to yellow.
When did that end? You ever wonder like when they said, ah, man, we're just not
Um,
gonna do
it
it anymore.
ended with Kyle Rayner.
No, now that makes sense.
They wanted to, when they threw the baby out with the bathwater and got rid of the whole Green Lantern mythology, they kind of got rid of the yellow weakness thing. And then they played off of it when Hal came back and Jeff Johns was bringing the core back. He thought, and I thought it was kind of a neat idea, is the weakness is still there unless you can overcome it. I mean, it tied into that whole overcoming fear thing.
Right.
That's when you went from the white circle to getting the full emblem.
hmm Makes sense.
But I thought it was interesting. There's a point in which Barry is trying so hard to defeat the Star Sapphire that Hal realizes that Barry doesn't care about himself anymore, and he's essentially trying to kill himself in his grief, unknowingly, probably at least not consciously knowing what he's trying to do. And so Hal steps in and just says, "I'm not going to let my best friend commit suicide," and that snaps Barry out of it, which I thought was really neat to see Hal step in like that and be the friend that he's always been, but to step up and do it in a very big way, to snap Barry out of that whole mindset. And Barry still he then sees Carol as Iris and is desperate to save her. And Hal gets Barry to confront the grief, which I don't know if in his own series he did. I wasn't reading The Flash at the time, but
I
I
was
think it took a while for him to go through the grief. And here you see him really kind of coming to that, you go through the stages of denial and anger and all that kind of stuff. And here you kind of see him start to accept it a little bit, which I thought was kind of great.
the one single panel with a tear in his
Yeah,
eye. Yeah, it was
yeah.
good.
I just thought that was neat. And then the story ends. And then I thought that Mark Waid did a really neat job. He spent a couple pages kind of tying this whole series together. And this story, as it turns out, in this whole series, is really narrated by Tom Kalmaku, who's been recounting things in his journal. He always kept a thing about Hal Jordan's adventures. And so it's some of that stuff. And he talks about how the Flash would then go on to do the ultimate sacrifice. And he would talk about what happened with Hal. And it was really a neat reflective thing. And you see Tom Kalmaku's sadness over seeing these two guys and these two friends both being gone. And it was a neat way to pay tribute to both of them. And interestingly ends up with, Mark Waid makes a comment about them running and launching themselves boldly into the red skies, which is tying it directly into the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I thought was really, again, a neat touch. It was a nice way to tie it all together. I thought it was just a neat way to pay tribute to these two characters, which weren't being printed really at this point. This was just like you said, and we talked about earlier, it was in 1999. I'm not sure if that was I think it was pre the Spectre series. Uh,
And I would imagine these just came out monthly, right? So
yeah, these were monthly. They were for 6 months, and the same with JLA Year One. And if you haven't read JLA Year One, I highly recommend it. But I felt like this was one of my favorite stories. I went out and I don't know if you've ever seen the deluxe edition.
that's the
Um,
one I have.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's nice because it gives you some extra detail. He goes back in and he actually in the forward talks about all the different team ups they had, and he talks about how after Green Lantern 129, after that time period, Flash and Green Lantern really didn't do very many team ups after that between that time frame and Crisis on Infinite Earths. So this adventure is kind of like their last team up together before Crisis on Infinite Earths, which makes it even more poignant at that point.
Does yours have the scripts in it at the end?
It has some of the cover art. It has some of the scripts. Yeah. Yep, you're
Yeah.
right. And it has kind of their notes about what they were going to do
Hmm.
all the way through it. It's interesting. They talked about some recurring bits where, Hal was going to instigate a sports competition of some kind. And some of that stuff didn't make it to the whole thing. My copy has the script for issue 2 of the series. Is the only script it's got in it.
Yeah, same
Um,
thing.
and the forward was neat because it goes through and recounts the history. And what I really liked about this is before each issue in here, it tells you where it falls in place, which is nice.
That's really helpful to the readers at that time,
Oh,
because
absolutely. And even now, because the people who enjoy these characters in this team, and if you haven't read this, this really encapsulates the entirety of their history together. You obviously don't get all their appearances, and I think some of their friendship is born out of some of the team ups they had back in the Green Lantern book. But there was a time after Green Lantern, the Hard Traveling Heroes era, Green Lantern was canceled as a book. And so he became the backup in the Flash. So there was, I think, always that kind of that tie together, these two characters. And I always look at it, Barry and Hal and Ollie, they're my trinity. Um,
yeah, they are the three one of the three coolest. And whenever they're written, they really get along. I like the particular there was a oh gosh, what was it? A collected Cry for Justice when
oh,
Hal
yeah.
Hal and Green Arrow took it upon themselves to take things on their own in their own hands. And he basically gives a big F you to Superman and he takes off and goes. That's probably one of my ultimate favorites because it was cool seeing Hal and Green Arrow, and how they did things and they're untethered, more or less.
That bound by the normal rules. Uh,
Not-
I hope that everybody has followed all of the episodes of the different people, whether it's some people are doing audio only, some are doing audio and video, some are doing just video. We're going to have links to all of those episodes in our show notes down below the screen on YouTube. And for those listening in audio, if you go to the show notes there, I'll have listed links to all those episodes. I highly encourage you to go through if you haven't, go through and listen to everything they have to say. There's not a lot really to talk about in this particular issue, even though it is the final issue of this series. But it's a traditional adventure with Hal and Barry, and using Carol as a way to force the conversation about Iris and the loss and these two friends. And I really thought this was a really great way to bookend their relationship because it does show them as humans who are friends with each other, and one friend suffering greatly and the other one doing their very best to try to help heal the wound and help that person get past that point. Because you can't, grief is such a hard thing for everybody experiences grief in a different way. And when you see a friend hurting, you want to help them, but it's almost like nothing you can say is really going to mend that wound. And to see these two guys come together, they're my favorite team up in all of comics. So I've
Well,
always enjoyed this book.
and there's a closeness with Barry and Hal that he doesn't have with characters like Diana or Batman, or Superman. There's a special closeness that these two have always had. And I've
Yeah.
always noticed that whenever they're written, just their camaraderie towards each other. And they've always gotten along. They've always worked well together, and it's never been one of those situations where they've been, I don't know, tenuous or fighting relationships. I mean, you're going to have that no matter what kind of friendship you're in, but at the same time, these two have always worked well with one another.
Yeah. I mean, they're so colorful together. Their powers work well together. Um, so there's all of that. But yeah, it's their friendship and their camaraderie that I really, really enjoy.
Mhm.
They're not sometimes with characters, they have a working relationship, but you don't see them ever getting together outside of that just to get together and have a burger and fries together. And you can see Barry and Hal getting together and having a burger and fries.
Right.
Or with Ollie involved, a bowl of chili, right?
Great
So
issue.
so thanks for joining us in our conversation for The Flash and Green Lantern, The Brave and the Bold, issue number 6. Hope you enjoyed the coverage throughout the month of June. Glad to wrap it up and honored to be a part of it as we have been the last number of years. Special thank you to Chad and the Lantern Cast because they do the work of organizing behind the scenes and come up with some of the graphics that we're using. So they really work hard to kind of sponsor this event and promote it and do all the hard work behind the scenes to get us all together and help us pick a series to talk about or a book to talk about. So kudos to those guys for stepping up and doing the work.
I love it. And I love working with those guys. I want to get together with them again and have a nice round table. We haven't done that in a long time. And, it'd be nice to see, like, catch up on where they stand, in the Green Lantern universe now.
Yeah, yeah.
The
I,
budget.
I don't believe they do video or they're not comfortable doing video, so I don't know as if we'll have them on here. But maybe we'll be on their show again at some point soon. We'll see. But if they ever around want to do video, I would definitely love to have them on just for a chat and a round table. And the neat thing about the Green Lantern content creators is we don't all agree about the same things. There are some things that we rally around together, but there are some things we disagree on. I mean, right now, um, you and I are at least I am very anti-lanterns. Some of them are not. Some of them are gung ho for lanterns. So what's neat as a Green Lantern fan is with the number of content creators that's out there, you can find what it is you're interested in. If you don't like my take on Green Lanterns, you can go listen to somebody else's positive take on Green Lanterns. We all love the franchise and we all love it for different reasons and we all have different favorites. But I think that's really what makes it interesting and special because before, originally it was just the Lantern cast and then we came along and over time there have been more creators joining the family and it's neat. Speaking of how long things have been going on, you and I are celebrating anniversaries. We started the podcast of OA in June of 2011. So this is our 15th anniversary, and you, my friend, have been around for a big part of that. You started in a June episode, so June is a special month for us. So I'm always happy to talk about all that stuff because the show wouldn't be what it is without you, my friend, and you're an important part of it.
Hey, this is your baby, and you inviting me along for the ride has been nothing but a blast. I mean, you and I look forward to talking to each other. I mean, I text you all the time, ask how you're doing because want to talk about friendship, you and I.
Yeah,
There's a concern that I have, being miles and miles away from you, and you going through some difficult things that you're going through, and damn, if I can't be there for you. But at the same time, a text here and there, whatever I have to do just to reach out to know that I'm always here. And, you invited me on here. It was awesome. I haven't looked back 1 minute and it's been great. Every episode's been fun. Sure there's been some downers and sure we've had some slams that we with the Green Lantern and a lot of things that a lot of ways with fandom and I think that gets overlooked is the differences, right? I mean, you talk about differences and stuff, and it's okay for Chad to sit here and sit on the holy throne of I love Lanterns that's coming out, but it's also okay for other fans to be like, yeah, that's not for me, you know, and seeing things on the big screen doesn't have the same impact as it used to anymore for me. Like I was looking forward to Superman, and then that came out and it railed me. I was like, wow, this is great. And after that, I really didn't know what to look forward to. Along comes Lanterns, and then my level of interest in that slowly deteriorated over time just because I don't think the approach is what I'm in for. I mean, I'll go back to what you said. I don't need to be force fed a bunch of garbage of else's vision and then sit here and say, yeah, I have to like it just because. It's not the way it works, you know? And you and I have the same opinions about lanterns. And then take, for instance, Masters of the Universe. I was all in when I knew that was coming out. And then when that came out, I was like, "Oh, I don't even know what else is going to top that. Lanterns ain't going to top that. There's no way." I mean, from what I've seen so far, Lanterns ain't going to come close to topping what Motu gave me. But I'm also changing too, right? You and I are both getting older. Now, our likes stay the same, but our passion and our interest in certain areas sometimes change over time, you know? And when you get your balloon deflated, seeing what's coming out with the Lanterns television series, I mean, it doesn't bode well, you know, especially for more so you because you're more invested in this character than I could ever be. And it makes it difficult for me to watch that train go by knowing that it's going to let you down. But we can sit here and we can still do our podcast and we can still talk about the things that bring us up. And
Right,
that's
right. And that's the great thing for Green Lantern fans is to have a community of creators. You know, if you haven't discovered all of them yet, hopefully this will bring you to those people who maybe you will like more than you like our show. Or for some people, maybe you didn't know our show existed. And so this is your first introduction. I hope you stick around. We'd love to have you as part of our core, as part of the Green Lantern family, regardless of what content you like to listen to or watch. I think it's fantastic to have the diversity of types of coverage that's out there and a diversity of opinion. I think it's important. And I think it goes to show like we can all come together for things, even though we may disagree about something. We still love Green Lantern each in our own way, and we like different aspects of it. And I think that's what's fantastic.
You know, and on that note, like you said, we can all disagree on things, we can all agree on things, doesn't really matter. But I guarantee you there's one thing a Green Lantern fan, and it doesn't matter what creator is going to tell you. Blackest Night was the ultimate event. And nobody, I don't think I've heard of anybody that rails against it on any podcast when it comes to that particular Green Lantern event. Nobody trashes it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was one time that I think was lightning in a bottle, though, for Lantern fans. I mean, you and I have talked about that ad nauseum, right? I mean, everything came together at the right time and everything just, wow. I mean, it was just huge, but who knows if we ever replicate that again? I don't know.
It's all right.
It's going to be tough.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But again, in closing, thank you all for joining us. And I'll give the closing I always love to give you folks. Keep that power ring charged. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other and make every day your brightest day. Take it easy. Thanks so much for watching this Green Lantern video from the blog of Voa. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find even more great Green Lantern videos, reviews, podcasts, and more at our main website, www.blogofoa.com. So until next time, keep your power ring charged and make every day your brightest day.